The corridors of the Galactic Concord Academy hummed with quiet purpose, a vast sprawl of polished floors, towering archways, and displays flashing incomprehensible alien scripts. Students of 100 species drifted between lecture halls and laboratories, their voices a low murmur blending with the hum of starship engines docked nearby. Here, the future leaders of galactic science, diplomacy, and warfare were forged. Among the bustling multitudes moved Jonah Creel, a human janitor. He was short, unassuming, and cloaked in a standard-issue gray jumpsuit that bore the Academy's emblem on the breast pocket. His eyes, deep-set and dark, surveyed the floor without really seeing it. Jonah was the kind of person no one noticed, a shadow in the background, quietly wiping down holoscreens and scrubbing alien ichor from the tile. No one paid attention to Jonah. That was how he liked it. Jonah's movements were deliberate but unobtrusive. He knew every corner of the Academy's labyrinthine hallways, every vent and pipe. His life was simple: clean, fix, move on. But beneath the collar of his jumpsuit, hidden from casual view, was a tattoo, a black sigil etched in patterns that seemed to ripple subtly beneath the skin. It wound around the back of his neck like a snake coiling for a strike. A tattoo that didn't belong to any known culture in the galaxy. A tattoo he never spoke of. Jonah wasn't a man who attracted attention, yet sometimes, when he caught the reflection of the sigil in the chrome walls, he felt a strange heat pulse from it, a faint but insistent thrum, something alive beneath his skin. This morning was like any other until the halls erupted in confusion. A piercing alarm sounded, the kind that stopped everyone in their tracks. Medical Emergency Sector 4, a loudspeaker announced in multiple languages. Jonah had just finished cleaning the lecture hall where the alien linguistics class met. He turned a corner and saw a group of students gathered around a figure slumped on the floor. It was a Thrixie, a towering insectoid with iridescent chitin and compound eyes flickering with distress. Clickton, the Thrixie student, gasped sharply. "He's convulsing! Someone get a medic!" Jonah's eyes narrowed. The Thrixie's movements were spasmodic, unnatural. The scent in the air changed, a faint electric charge like static before a storm. Without thinking, Jonah knelt beside the fallen student. His hands hovered uncertainly. He wanted to help, but he was not trained for this. As he leaned closer, he caught sight of a faint glow emanating from under his collar. The tattoo reacted, brightening, pulsating rhythmically. "Stay back," a sharp voice barked. The medic arrived, pushing Jonah aside, but the janitor didn't move. His gaze was fixed on the black mark now visible for a split second on the Thrixie's throat, a mark similar in shape to his own tattoo, but fragmented and flickering. The medics worked quickly, attaching sensors and injecting stimulants. Slowly, the Thrixie's spasms subsided and consciousness returned. Jonah stood up, the strange heat of his tattoo settling back to a dull hum. Nobody spoke to him. No one even glanced his way. But Clickton's eyes lingered on Jonah's neck. Later, as the Academy's evening chill settled in, Jonah found himself wandering the quieter parts of the campus. The tattoo throbbed faintly. He pressed a finger to the base of his neck and felt a low vibration, like a heartbeat out of sync with his own. He was not like the others. He never had been. Jonah's mind drifted to the rumors whispered among human survivors, stories of secret military programs, ancient wars, and powers hidden deep inside men like him. He pushed the thoughts away. He had a job to do and no one was looking, but the tattoo was waking. A faint pulse echoed through the silent hall as Jonah passed beneath a security camera. The lens flickered oddly, capturing the tattoo in a way no one would expect. Something ancient, something forbidden, stirred beneath his skin. Jonah paused. No one noticed him, but something was watching. Clickton's multifaceted eyes scanned the security feeds, replaying the events of the morning. Over and over, something didn't sit right. The human janitor, Jonah Creel, had been everywhere the system detected strange energy spikes, his unassuming form the epicenter of a puzzle Clickton was determined to solve. In the cramped, cluttered quarters of the insectoid student dormitory, Clicktan's antennae twitched as he hacked deeper into the Academy's surveillance grid. The thrum of ancient servers mixed with the soft hum of his personal terminal. Lines of code raced across the holoscreen, revealing layers of encrypted data. Jonah's every step left a faint signature, ghostly waves of energy pulsing just beyond normal detection. "Why does a janitor interfere with the security net?" Clickton murmured, pincers tapping thoughtfully on the console. A sudden flicker caught his attention. The feed from a hallway camera late at night. Jonah walked alone, collar turned up, neck exposed just enough to reveal the tattoo. It was glowing faintly, a ripple of black shadows and violet sparks, dancing like liquid ink on skin. Clickton zoomed in, eyes widening. The tattoo shifted, shape, forming strange symbols that twisted and writhed as if alive. Clickton felt a thrill of excitement and fear. This wasn't ordinary body art. It was something ancient, something forbidden. Determined to understand, Clickton tracked Jonah's movements over several days. The janitor's routine was predictable, cleaning, fixing, avoiding eyes. But the tattoo's pulsing grew stronger at specific times, especially near the Academy's restricted archives. That night, Clickton followed Jonah beyond the usual patrol routes. They moved silently through dimly lit corridors, passing security checkpoints with an uncanny ease. Jonah's body language was casual, but Clickton's multifaceted vision detected subtle glimmers, energy signatures barely contained beneath Jonah's skin. When Jonah stopped in a shadowed alcove, Clickton crept closer, careful not to be seen. He saw Jonah raise a hand and trace invisible patterns in the air. The tattoo flared bright, casting strange runes onto the walls. The symbols shimmered and disappeared, leaving behind a faint hum. Suddenly, a security drone whirred nearby, and Jonah froze. Clickton ducked into a nearby vent, heart pounding. The drone scanned the area but passed on without detecting either of them. After the drone disappeared, Jonah lowered his hand, his tattoo dimming back to its faint glow. Clickton stepped out of hiding. "Human," Clickton whispered. "What? Is that mark on your neck?" Jonah spun around, eyes sharp and cold for the first time. "You shouldn't be here," Jonah said, voice low but steady. Clickton took a cautious step forward. "I've seen it move. The symbols, they aren't just ink." Jonah's expression softened slightly. "It's not ink. It's a seal." Clickton blinked multiple times. "A seal?" Jonah glanced over his shoulder as if expecting someone, or something, to be watching. Something dangerous, something ancient. The silence stretched between them. Clickton asked, "Why hide it? Why live like this?" Jonah shook his head. "Because the moment they find out, I'm either locked away, or worse." Clickton considered the human's words, weighing the danger and the mystery. "I want to help." Before Jonah could reply, the building's emergency alarm blared, shattering the quiet. Red lights flashed as a voice echoed, "Security breach, Sector 7, intruders detected." Jonah's tattoo flared bright in warning. "We need to move." Clickton followed as Jonah led the way through winding corridors toward the disturbance. Outside the hallways, screens showed Rathari warships emerging from hyperspace, weapons primed and ready. The invasion had begun. Jonah's calm mask cracked for a moment, revealing steel beneath. "This isn't just about me anymore." Clickton looked at Jonah in a new light, not as a quiet janitor, but as a man with secrets that could change everything. And the tattoo pulsed, as if alive, ready to rewrite the fate of the Academy and the galaxy. The conference chamber of the Galactic Conquered Academy loomed vast and austere, a polished amphitheater of shimmering stone and holographic displays. Around the curved dais sat the Academy Council, a mix of towering reptilians with scaled crests, translucent jelly-like beings who shifted with each breath, and slender winged diplomates whose feathers rustled softly. The air hummed with quiet urgency. At the center of this uneasy assembly was the latest crisis. Jonah Creel, the human janitor whose tattooed neck had stirred alarm and suspicion. The council president, A granite-scaled reptilian named Sikathor slammed a clawed hand on the table. We cannot allow the anomaly to roam freely. This human's biosigil could be a threat to the entire academy. Julian, a serene jelly being with shifting hues of blue and green, countered gently. We must be cautious. The human has not shown aggression. We know little of what this sigil represents. Our first duty is understanding, not imprisonment. A hologram flickered to life, replaying security footage of Jonah moving through the academy's halls. The wire, black tattoo glowed faintly, pulsing with irregular rhythm. Clickton stood quietly nearby, summoned to testify. His antennae twitched nervously as he recounted the discovery. It is unlike any sigil known in galactic history, Clickton said. It is alive. I have seen it change shape, emit energy. It is dangerous. From the shadows at the back of the chamber, Jonah entered, his steps slow but deliberate. The room fell into tense silence. Jonah's voice was calm but resolute. You want to lock me up because you don't understand. I don't blame you. But this tattoo, it's a seal. Not just a mark, but a cage. Sikathor's eyes narrowed. Explain yourself. Jonah turned, revealing the tattoo fully, black patterns twisting like living veins beneath the skin. I was part of a project long hidden from this galaxy, Project Thanatos. It was Earth's last desperate attempt in a war you've never heard of. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Thanatos was designed to trap a cosmic horror inside human hosts, powerful, dangerous entities. The tattoo suppresses what lies beneath. I'm the last sealed vessel. A murmur spread. The last? Julian's voice was barely a whisper. What happens if the seal breaks? Jonah's jaw tightened. Then I don't know if I'm still Jonah Creel or something else. Before the council could respond, the chamber's lights flickered. Emergency sirens wailed. Outside the Academy's perimeter scanners blared warnings. The Rathari warlord's fleet had arrived, dropping out of hyperspace faster than anticipated. Their warships, monstrous and scarred, were firing plasma barrages at the Academy's outer defenses. Sikathor snarled. This confirms it. Our worst fears are realized. The Rathari seek to claim what you carry. We must act. Jonah stepped forward, eyes blazing with resolve. If you want to defend this place, you need me. The seal is failing because of their attack. Julian nodded reluctantly. Then we must trust you, at least for now. The council agreed, but with heavy reservations. As the Rathari forces breached the outer shields, the Academy prepared for war. Jonah felt the tattoo burning hotter than ever, a warning and a promise. He could not afford to lose control. Not now. Outside the chamber, Clickton watched Jonah, conflicted. The quiet janitor had become the center of a galactic storm, and everything was about to change. The Academy's archives were a fortress of secrets, vaulted chambers beneath the gleaming spires, sealed with biometric locks and encoded quantum encryptions. Even here, in the deepest recesses of the Concord's knowledge troves, some truths were kept under layers of silence. Clickton stood alone in the dim glow of the archive terminal, the soft hum of ancient servers filling the air. His multifaceted eyes scanned encrypted files, his pincers tapping rapidly. He had to know everything about Jonah Creel and the tattoo that marked him as something more than human. Minutes turned into hours as Clickton peeled back firewalls and restrictions, revealing fragments of classified history buried under decades of dust and digital decay. Project Thanatos. The name sent a shiver through Clickton's exoskeleton. According to the files, Project Thanatos was a Terran initiative born from desperation. During Earth's last great interstellar conflict, long before humans made any official contact with the wider galaxy, the Terran military, scientists, and occultists had joined forces to weaponize the human body itself, designing biosigil seals to trap ancient cosmic entities, eldritch horrors that defied comprehension. These entities, known only as the primordials, were said to exist beyond normal time and space, beings of pure destruction and madness. Earth's governments had no choice but to imprison them inside specially engineered human hosts. Each seal was a complex living lock embedded under the skin, designed to suppress the horrors within. Jonah Creel was one such host. Clickton read on. Most of the project's subjects had perished, consumed by madness or monstrous transformation. Jonah was the last surviving vessel. The files hinted at his disappearance from Earth records decades ago, erased to protect the galaxy from knowledge of the threat. Clickton's antennae twitched uneasily. This human, he carries a burden none of us can fathom. His holodisplay flickered, revealing an archival recording, a Terran scientist describing the project in hushed tones. The seals are imperfect. They will weaken over time. When that happens, the host risks becoming a vector for the primordial's return. We pray humanity's sacrifice will be the galaxy's shield. A chill ran down Clickton's thorax. The weight of it all pressed down. Jonah was not merely a janitor. He was a walking prison. The galaxy's fate balanced on his fragile humanity. As Clickton prepared to leave the archives, his terminal pinged. An encrypted message arrived from an unknown source, its signature faint but unmistakable, a shadow watching his every move. The message was brief. Stop digging. Some secrets are meant to remain buried. Clickton's mind raced. Someone or something was monitoring him, and the threat was closer than he imagined. Outside the archives, alarms blared again. The Rathari assault had intensified. Reports streamed in, ships destroyed, Academy defenses crumbling. The Rathari were after more than just territory. They wanted Jonah and what he carried inside. Clickton hurried to the council chamber, data drive clenched tightly in his pincers. Jonah waited there, his tattoo pulsing with a fierce glow as, if sensing the approaching storm, Project Thanatos, Clickton said quietly. It's real, and you're the last key. Jonah nodded, exhaustion shadowing his sharp features. I've buried it all for years, but the war is coming back, and with it, the horror. Sikthor's reptilian eyes gleamed. Then we must prepare for the worst. The Rathari will stop at nothing. Julian floated forward, voice calm but urgent. If the seal fails, the primordials will be unleashed. We have mere hours to strengthen it, or face extinction. Jonah's tattoo flared white-hot. Then we have no time to waste. Outside the council chamber, the galaxy held its breath. The distant rumble of warships grew louder, vibrating through the very core of the Galactic conquered Academy. Outside the towering glass walls, Rathari warships darkened the skies like predators circling their prey, plasma cannons charging with deadly intent. The Academy's defense turrets blazed, but each salvo was met with a barrage of energy shields and retaliatory fire. Inside the grand halls, chaos rippled through the once serene corridors. Students, faculty, and security forces scrambled to their battle stations, voices mixing with the blaring alarms. Jonah Creel stood near the armory, eyes narrowed as the tattoo on his neck began to pulse violently, radiating a heat that prickled the skin beneath his collar. Clickton appeared beside him, antennae twitching with tension. They're breaching. The outer defense is faster than expected. If this keeps up, the Academy will fall in less than an hour. Jonah's fingers clenched into fists. Then it's time I stop hiding. He reached up, tugging at the collar of his jumpsuit. The tattoo spilled into full view, a living, writhing black pattern shimmering with violet light. It seemed to pulse with a heartbeat of its own, the skin beneath shifting like liquid. A sudden explosion rocked the corridor, sending a shower of debris and dust into the air. Clickton shouted, "The Rathari have breached Sector 3. Jonah sprinted toward the breach, weaving through panicked students and rushing security forces. Near the shattered entrance, a group of Rathari drones advanced, their spiked armor glinting ominously. Without hesitation, Jonah lunged forward, his movements blurring. The tattoo flared brightly, releasing a shockwave of kinetic energy that sent the drones flying into the walls. Security officers stared in disbelief. "Is that human?" one gasped. But Jonah barely noticed their awe. His body was changing. Nanites woven into his cells, activated by the ancient sigil, were rewriting his muscles, enhancing his reflexes and strength beyond human limits. Clickton. followed, calling out, "Jonah, wait! This power, what will it cost you?" Jonah's voice was low, fierce. "I don't have a choice." The corridor became a battleground. Jonah moved like a storm, striking down Rathari drones with precision and speed that made even veteran soldiers dizzy. His tattoo writhed, tendrils of shadow extending momentarily, disabling enemy weapons and scrambling sensors. But every strike came at a price. Jonah felt a searing pain beneath the skin, the ancient entity within stirring, pushing against the seal. Nearby, Clicktan found a trapped group of students pinned beneath a collapsed support beam. Without hesitation, Jonah rushed over, lifting the heavy debris with superhuman strength. "Get to safety," he ordered. As the last student scrambled away, a blast caught Jonah's side. He staggered, the tattoo flaring erratically, dangerously. The Rathari commander appeared at the corridor's far end, towering and armored in dark plates etched with runes. His voice boomed in a guttural tongue. "You carry the curse, human. Surrender it, and we may yet spare your academy." Jonah squared his shoulders, eyes glowing with a fierce light. "I am not a curse. I am its prison." With a roar, the tattoo exploded in brilliance, enveloping Jonah in a tempest of shadow and energy. The commander charged, but Jonah met him, head on, their clash shaking the very foundation of the academy. Clicktan watched in awe and fear as Jonah's form shifted, limbs elongated, eyes brightened with unnatural fire. The janitor was gone. In his place stood something else, something both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The Rathari commander faltered under the onslaught, his forces retreating, but Jonah collapsed as the energy faded, breathing ragged, the tattoo flickering wildly. Clicktan knelt beside him. "You held them off, but at what cost?" Jonah's voice was a whisper. "I don't know how long I can keep this up." Outside the shattered windows, the Rathari fleet pulled back, leaving the academy battered but standing. For now, the war had begun in earnest. The aftermath of the Rathari assault left the Galactic conquered academy scarred but standing, a battered fortress amidst a sea of blinking warning lights and fractured hull sections. Smoke curled from shattered panels, and the distant wail of emergency drones filled the air. Yet inside one dimly lit infirmary chamber, the most urgent battle was unfolding within Jonah Creel himself. He lay on a sterile cot, the hum of medical machines pulsing steadily, though his breathing was shallow and uneven. Clicktan sat by his side, antennae twitching with worry, as a human medic adjusted sensors on Jonah's neck, careful to avoid the tattoo that now glowed faintly beneath his skin like a restless star. The ancient seal that held the cosmic horror, imprisoned inside Jonah, was weakening, its rhythm faltering under the strain of recent battles, exposure, and Jonah's own surging powers. "Your body is rejecting the nanites," the medic explained softly, her voice tinged with scientific curiosity and compassion. "The seal is destabilizing faster than anticipated." Jonah's dark eyes opened, filled with a fierce light that belied his exhaustion. "If the seal breaks, it won't just be me anymore." Clicktan reached out, a rare gesture of empathy from the insectoid. "What happens if the primordial inside awakens?" Jonah's voice was barely a whisper. "It becomes a god of destruction, a force no weapon can stop. That's why Earth sealed it away, because the galaxy isn't ready for what lurks beyond, the Diko." Weight of that knowledge hung heavy in the air. Suddenly, the infirmary doors hissed open and a council envoy strode in. Skithor's granite-scaled visage was etched with grim determination. "The Rathari are regrouping for another strike," he announced. "This time their target is the heart of the academy, the archive vaults." Jonah's tattoo pulsed in warning. "They want the knowledge, and me." Julian floated in behind Skithor, her colors swirling with urgency. "We must find a way to strengthen the seal. There may be ancient relics in the archives, tools left by Earth scientists to maintain the bond." Clicktan glanced at Jonah. "But if your body can't take it, if the seal breaks during the ritual," Jonah cut him off. "Then I won't let that happen." Determined, the council authorized a desperate plan: to retrieve the relics and perform the sealing ritual before the Rathari could breach the archives again. Jonah, despite his weakened state, insisted on leading the mission. Supported by Clickton and a squad of elite guards, they moved through the Academy's damaged corridors, heading for the ancient vaults deep beneath the structure. As they descended, Jonah's tattoo grew brighter, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The power within him strained against its prison, sending ripples of dark energy that made some guards uneasy. In the vault's heart, they found an ancient chamber filled with earth relics, crystalline devices etched with the same patterns as Jonah's tattoo, old data tablets recording forgotten rituals and strange machines humming with dormant power. Clickton carefully activated one of the devices. It pulsed softly, responding to Jonah's seal. Jonah's hands trembled as he reached out, placing the relic against his neck. The tattoo flared violently, a torrent of black and violet energy swirling in response. Pain surged through Jonah's body, fire beneath his skin, voices whispering madness. He gasped, struggling to maintain control. The ritual began, the relics, channeling energy into the seal, knitting it tighter around the ancient horror. But outside, alarms screamed. A Rathari strike force had broken through security. The battle was inevitable. Jonah's eyes snapped open, meeting Clickton's. "We hold this place or everything dies." The seal flared like a star collapsing, and Jonah steeled himself for what was to come. The ancient vault chamber was bathed in eerie violet light, the relics humming with a resonance older than the stars. Jonah Creel knelt at the center, the crystalline device pressed firmly against the tattoo that twisted like living shadow across his neck and shoulders. Each pulse sent waves of burning energy rippling through his veins. Clickton and the elite guards formed a protective circle, their eyes sharp, weapons primed. Outside the thick vault doors, distant explosions rattled the Academy's foundations. The Rathari forces were advancing, relentless as a tide. Jonah's breath came ragged. The seal inside him roared and writhed, half prisoner, half predator, struggling against the ancient relic's attempt to tighten its bonds. "Hold them back," Jonah gasped, sweat beading on his brow. "I need more time." Clickton's antennae twitched, scanning the corridors through tactical feeds. "They're close. Too close." Suddenly, the vault doors shook violently as Rathari shock troops blasted the locks, tearing through the reinforced steel with brutal efficiency. The elite guards raised their weapons, firing volleys of plasma bolts into the first wave of attackers. Screams and the sharp crackle of energy weapons echoed through the narrow corridors. Jonah's eyes flickered with violet fire, the tattoo flaring brighter than ever as the ritual's energy surged through him. The pain was unbearable, an inferno. Beneath his skin, voices clawing at his mind. He clenched his fists, pushing back the madness. The ancient horror trapped inside twisted, desperate to break free. Clickton shouted over the din. "They're breaching the chamber!" With a roar, Jonah unleashed a pulse of energy from the tattoo, sending shock waves that threw Rathari soldiers off balance, buying precious seconds. The vault doors splintered, and Rathari warriors poured in like a dark flood. The guards formed, a last line of defense, fighting desperately to protect Jonah as he focused on the ritual. Amid the chaos, a Rathari commander locked eyes with Jonah, his armored form imposing and terrible. "You cannot contain the primordial forever," he growled. "Surrender the seal and your life is spared." Jonah's voice was fierce. "I am the seal." With a surge of energy, Jonah's form shifted, his muscles bulging, limbs elongating as the tattoo consumed him. Shadow tendrils lashed out, knocking enemies back in waves. But the strain was evident. Jonah staggered, the ritual's power nearly overwhelming him. Clickton rushed forward, deflecting a lethal blast aimed at Jonah's back. "You're stronger than you think, but you can't hold forever." Jonah nodded, eyes blazing. "I'll give them hell trying." With a mighty roar, Jonah channeled the relic's energy into the tattoo, binding the seal tighter. The voices inside him screamed, fighting, but Jonah's will was steel. Slowly, the tattoo's wild flares began to steady, the ancient power drawing back into its cage. Outside the chamber, the Rathari forces faltered, their advance breaking under the fierce resistance. Clickton surveyed the scene, antennae twitching in relief. The seal is holding, for now. Jonah collapsed to one knee, exhaustion crashing over him like a tidal wave. The tattoo dimmed to a steady, calm glow. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The aftermath of the siege was quiet but heavy. The Galactic conquered Academy, though battered and bruised, still stood proud against the void. Broken corridors now echoed with whispered stories of the janitor who was more than he seemed, a human who carried within him a cosmic horror, yet fought to keep it chained. Jonah Creel sat beneath the sprawling glass dome of the Academy's observatory, the stars shimmering cold and distant above. The tattoo on his neck glowed softly, now calm and steady like a heartbeat finally at rest. Clickton sat nearby, his antennae twitching in quiet reflection. "They fought hard," Clickton said, voice low. "But so did you." Jonah's eyes were weary but clear. "I was just trying to survive, to protect everyone here, but I'm no hero." Clickton tilted his head. "You carry a burden no one else could bear. That makes you more than a janitor." Jonah managed a faint smile. "Maybe, or maybe I'm just a prisoner." A gentle breeze swept through the observatory's open vents, carrying the scent of distant worlds. The council's decision had been clear. Jonah was to remain at the Academy, both as protector and as a living reminder of what lurked beyond the known universe. His tattoo, once a symbol of fear, was now a sigil of vigilance. But questions remained. The encrypted message Clickton had received, the warning to stop digging, haunted the insectoid's mind. Someone had been watching, waiting. The Rathari had retreated, but only for now. Suddenly, Jonah's tattoo pulsed again, this time not with pain but with a strange warmth, as if acknowledging a new resolve. "I don't know what the future holds," Jonah said quietly, "but I do know this. I won't let the horror inside me win. Not while I can fight." Clickton nodded. "And you won't be alone. We'll stand with you." Above them, the stars blinked, silent witnesses to a legacy forged in sacrifice and shadows. As the galaxy turned, the quiet human janitor with the changing tattoo had become something else. A guardian, a symbol, and perhaps the first step toward a new dawn for all sentient life.